You're listening to the Gab Street Podcast, Columbus, Ohio's #1 podcast for underground talent. Every week we have new conversations with interesting individuals who contribute to the Columbus economy and its lively culture. You may find just what you're looking for right in your backyard. Let's get right into it.
Like 14 or 15, that's when I really started writing, but I came to Ohio State and discovered the freestyle club, and that's how I really started rapping. Like, that was like freshman year. Like, I just like met some people and who turned out to be some of my best friends. Like, one of my roommates that I just moved out with, lived with, like, he was one of the first people I met at freestyle and took me under his wing. So
nice.
But yeah.
And were any of those guys in Cold Collection?
Yeah, so that was that dude is Dot Bryant that I'm referring to. He's
okay.
He used to be the former president of OSU Freestyle, and then he passed it along to me, and
nice.
That's kind of how we just developed our friendship over the year and whatnot. But
that's cool.
Yeah, he's the man.
Did you ever work with? Did you ever? It's like freestyling is work. Did you ever get a chance to talk to Austin Eden at all? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Austin Eden.
Erroneous Chamberlain.
I feel like those names sound really familiar. I'm just trying to picture.
He had really, really long wavy hair.
Was he in OSU Freestyle Club?
I believe so, yeah.
Maybe it was after I left. I'm not sure. But
okay. Fair enough.
I must have met him at some point. Yeah, but
that's cool.
Yeah.
I actually already started smooth as fuck. Am I right? Oh my God!
I was gonna say, I had a feeling we're rolling.
Welcome to episode whatever number it is, because I don't even know. It's been so many now. They're kind of running together for me. 70 something, 79,
70 something,
somewhere around there, something like that. But we've done a lot. We're here. We're still here. We're still going. We're having a co-host make his debut today. Actually,
hello.
Hey.
His name is Greyson. It's actually my boyfriend. So welcome into the show. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm glad.
Why wouldn't I be?
We also have a guest. I've been trying to get him on the show since we started the show, actually. So
yep.
This has been like a year and a half coming. Goes by Static Rez. Say what's up.
Yo, what's up? What's up? It's really good to be here. I'm so glad to be on this podcast. I know it's been a long time coming, and we've known each other over the years. I've seen this podcast grow, and I'm so glad to be here right now. I'm geeked. It gives me something to do during quarantine.
Dude, how has COVID impacted your music creation?
COVID has really thrown everything for a whirlwind. I feel like, the music industry is kind of hurting right now with the no live shows going on or anything. I've been really trying to take the time to perfect my craft, and one thing I did that I think I mentioned previously was I got a MacBook and a microphone finally, so I've been able to record myself from home, which was kind of one of my biggest roadblocks for a while.
Yeah.
Is having a lot of ideas stockpiled that I'd otherwise have to take to the studio. But I guess since COVID, I've been taking a lot more pride in recording myself and trying to just really compile my ideas in a more organized way. So when that next drop comes, it's a lot more calculated and just really thought out. So it's been a good time to really evaluate and reflect everything I've put out to this point, and figure out what might work best moving forward. It's been a good time to although it is a lot of downtime, a lot of good time to self-reflect. And
yeah, I feel that. So. And you're a pretty prolific artist before this anyway. Like, you have 3 albums out, which I say is pretty impressive. So what have been the changes to the process up until that point, until a release point, I guess, that have been caused by this? Yeah,
so I guess the biggest thing for me was after Warm Regards, which came out at the end of January, when COVID started to happen, I did have shows lined up throughout the spring and the summertime that I was hoping to do. And I remember you had even discussed one that was in the works that might hopefully it happens in the future. I hope COVID ends soon, but
yeah.
Wait, sorry, what was the question?
It's all good. It's all good. Just how has the process from beginning to end of an album, are you working on anything that's upcoming that can be discussed?
Yeah, definitely. So like the process, like since COVID's hit, like the process has been a lot more taking my time, like a lot more having like 3 or 4 iterations of a song to like the same beat before I really choose like which one's gonna stick. So it's been like a lot more trial and error than I'm used to, and I think that's what's nice about having a mic. But yeah, like the new project I'm working on, I'm really excited about. Like I'm really trying to I'm trying to like consolidate a good amount of songs, not too many, because I kind of want to, you know, I know I'll put a lot out there, and I want to, you know, put out my best work from here on out, if that makes sense, just in maybe smaller packages, but like, you know, just that might have the most like length to them, or, you know, my longevity, in other words, just some sort of like, you know, visual or other sort of something to accompany it is like what I've been trying to figure out as well, you know, with you know, social things going on in the world, you know, after George Floyd's killing and everything too. There's a lot of social initiatives that like you know, I've even been researching and hoping to get behind and donate to with some of my future releases. So that's another thing with you know, release and stuff right now. I've been sort of evaluating like the best way to go about that, and, you know, with the most purpose to do so, I'd say.
Hell yeah. So we've talked about your future plans for your music specifically, but as someone who's been in the game in Columbus for a little while, what future are you seeing for the scene overall after this?
Yeah, so I think after COVID, like, I really like the local shows we've got going on around the city. I'd really like to see, you know, that continue, and I'd really like to see some of these bigger venues that, you know, such as Scully's and Newport, even A&R Bar, some of the ones downtown that have more major national touring acts coming through. I want to see more opportunities, I think, for like, you know, these local artists to open for some of these people, to get that exposure, and, you know, potentially even, you know, just make those sort of connections just to, you know, take that to the next step, because I think that'll open the door for more local shows at, you know, those sort of venues and whatnot. Obviously with COVID, it's been tough, and, you know, shout out Sam Rothenstein for, you know, still throwing shows at Scully's, you know, respective to COVID, everyone wearing masks. You know, that seemed to work a little bit, but
yeah, I've heard that they're doing their best when it comes to New State and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
having to enforce spacing on the dance floor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I definitely think after like COVID's over, the scene's gonna really blossom. I feel like it's gonna be a good time for music all around, and that goes really for, I feel like, any scene around the U.S., like especially you know, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Like you know, there's a lot of stuff coming up out there as well, and, you know, a lot of opportunity out there shows wise that I was hoping to venture into. So.
And you know DC and Maryland pretty well because you're from there.
Yeah, my home. Yeah, grew up in Rockville, Maryland, same place, or the town over from where Logic grew up.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
very nice. We're huge Logic fans. That's cool.
He just released that final album of his.
Oh,
dude.
Man.
Yeah,
it's all I've been able to listen to since it came out.
Yeah, I've like dived into it like once or twice. I love what he did from a production standpoint, and like some of the stories he was telling were really amazing. It was special for someone like me to listen to, because I really I found him like early, probably 2012, 2013, back in the day, and I was only in middle school at the time, so it was really crazy just to see him come up through the years and do his thing. And I honestly think I think he got way too much hate over his career, because I feel like the joke's on the people that have kind of given him that shit, because he's leaving the industry with a bag, you know, he had his son, and he signed a huge deal to Twitch, so it's, you know, more power to him. It's, you know, it's awesome to kind of see that, like, you know, I felt happy for him as a fan. I was like, you know, he did his thing, came in, you know, did what he had to do in the industry, got out, and, you know.
Thinking about No Pressure brings me to another question about your music specifically. When I mean, you've listened through the album, right? You've heard Soul Food too.
Yeah. I've got to listen to it a little bit more, but I have listened to it. I am familiar.
The line that resonates with me in that song most is, you know, people. I'm gonna fuck it up, but I'm not gonna rap it for you. Don't worry. I'll spare you from that.
Cordonic.
No, it's not. Something about how your new shit isn't, or no, your old shit is, what is it?
Yeah,
your
I
old
know
shit. No, your new shit is never gonna be as good as your old shit
until it is your old shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that with people listening to your music,
Sometimes.
like from Brain Dead and from Be Good, people wanting to continue the old style?
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say a lot of people I've like run into will tell me like Brain Dead was really my best album, and like some of the songs from that, or just like that sound, that general sound it had, people really like, or like, you know, you need to get back to that. Like some of my closest friends have even told me that, and like, you know, I try to like, I'm always really open to feedback, and like I really value, you know, the people that, you know, give me that sort of feedback, because even in this downtime of COVID, I've been thinking about like, again, you know, what has worked best, and like, you know, some of the songs that really like helped early on, and like those were songs like Welcome Back from Brain Dead, or, you know, Dose, or, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there definitely is that element to, you know, my craft right now, where I'm trying to tap into like what's worked best and what's really stuck the most, you know, from those, what I've put out so far. Just kind of like trying to continue that, but also, you know, bring something new and fresh to the table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So other than Logic, what other kind of artists influence you?
Yeah, so I've actually been listening. It's kind of strange because I listen to a lot of, you know, whatever like sort of music I'm feeling depending on the day. Like I've actually listened to a lot of punk rock recently, just sort of like 2000s, 90s punk rock. Like before I came here, I was actually bumping My Own Worst Enemy by Lit. Like, please tell me why.
That was the first song I ever played on Rock Band.
Yeah. But I don't know, something about like that energy's just been nice in the summertime. But a lot of artists, like, you know, aside from that, like that's just kind of like a one-off genre I've been listening to. But I've been listening to a lot of the new hip hop that's coming out. A lot of I look up to like people like Kate Renata a lot, that kind of pops in and out the industry and will drop something hot and then, you know, duck out for a little bit. But I'm just trying to, you know, study those production techniques that like Future Bass and some of those other genres are using, because I really feel like that's gonna become the hot genre within the next few years. I feel like we saw punk rock kind of influence rap a little bit over the past few years, and I'm sort of sensing just a little bit of a shift back to that alternative, maybe, you know, singer-songwriter sort of vibe, but, you know, we'll see. Kid Cudi as well. Lots of Kid Cudi has been influencing me always since day one. I'd say even more so than Logic, probably. Like, Kid Cudi was one of the first reasons I made music, honestly.
Hell yeah. Is there anybody that you don't necessarily look up to musically, but as a person?
Yeah, I definitely look up. Let me think about that.
It is kind of a tough question, so I'll give you that one.
I definitely look up to my grandfather and my dad. My grandfather is out in he lives out in Utah, but he kind of like beat the odds like early on. Like he was you know, he was a coal mine, like came from a coal miner's family, and like was, you know, small town Utah, and like he was able to get good grades and get a scholarship and, you know, become a dentist and, you know, just do his thing in life. And a lot of the stuff he tells me, you know, I still keep up with him. He's, you know, it's just crazy because he's really getting up there in age, but he's still all there, and he's, you know, he just gives me great advice. Like, so I guess I've always looked up to him for that. And, you know, some of the stuff he's instilled in me to, you know, persevere and toughen up and, you know, just to get through stuff that, you know, is challenging, because it's gonna, you know, it'll be easier eventually. So
would you say that's also come through in your music?
Yeah. Yeah, some of the recent stuff I've been making that's unreleased, a lot of that is coming through, you know, especially with my family. Like, I actually, right around the time COVID started, I went back to Maryland for about 2 months, and I was just chilling at home at my parents' house, and that was a good way to catch up with them and spend some time while also, you know, being able to work from home. But kind of being there, like, that allowed a lot of that, you know, the inspiration and like the background, my family's history, and just like, you know, why I've been able to have an opportunity. That's sort of what I've been like unpacking with a lot of my new music, and you know, just like how a lot of opportunities have come to be because of them, and the situations, you know, the places I've been. I don't even know what I'm saying.
That's all right.
But yeah, like, you know, just like my family, like they've been a great inspiration to me, and you know, my grandfather, my mom and dad as well, like looking up to them, you know, that they've worked really hard to get where they're at, so that's always inspiring to me.
Hell yeah. Now, I believe having COVID around for so long has been making us nostalgic for the times before, and I must ask about a specific song of yours called Nostalgia, actually. I wanted to ask what you were feeling nostalgic about when you wrote Nostalgia, because I personally think that song captures that feeling perfectly.
Yeah, so there was actually a pretty just sad occurrence that happened back in my hometown with someone that I grew up with and I was very close to, that inspired that song. And like it was like I really tried to unpack a lot of what happened, I guess, with that in that song, and like just sort of like, you know, the hook of the chorus of that song is, "Don't you forget how it started, I feel all this nostalgia." It was just kind of an appreciation for how everything started, and just some of the different things I've been through, like some of the experiences I had. Like one line I had on that song was packing it out like it's Songbird. Like there was like I got the chance to perform in DC in 2018 with my buddy Mikey.
Nice.
And it was like the first like really packed out show that like I was able to perform at, and it just felt so great. It felt amazing because it was like a homecoming to me, and like that moment, I just remember like one of the final songs I was performing that night, you know, it was a special feeling just being, you know, in that environment. So like that, like I tried to illustrate that in that song a little bit, and just how I was feeling. At the same time, it was around the same time I graduated from Ohio State, so I was reflecting on a lot of like the times I had there, the people I had met that had enabled me to record, and you know, just the homies, you know, just and the video itself too. Like you know, it's just a lot of. It was like my campus house, just sitting there like with my homies making some music. But that's just, you know, what we do. So we try to make that song really, really natural and really free flowing, and I love that song. Like that might be probably one of my personal favorites, I'd have to say. And like from the feedback I've gotten on that song, I try to make every song sort of in that vein from now on, just because it worked so well for me, I feel like. So I've been trying to channel that sound a lot.
Hell yeah.
Recently.
Would you say it's those connections that you made while you were on OSU housing that you made it worth it to stay?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of the connections I made throughout my time at OSU made me really want to stay. Like, you know, one of my best friends, Junie, who was my engineer throughout my time at OSU, he you know, he was my roommate for a little while, and we would record out of our old house. But in addition to that, my friend Dot Bryant, who's another artist as well, he you know, I met him through freestyle, and sort of like he turned me on to like, you know, being in the studio and, you know, being around people that are creating and producing, and, you know, how to deliver your flows and stuff. So like making those sort of connections early on and throughout the years, like it really created a bond and like a lot of trust between, you know, us as friends. And, you know, that goes for all my homies too. Like it made it really difficult to you know, consider going back to Maryland after graduating, because you know, I built a lot here, and my, you know, Static Res was essentially created in Columbus. You know,
Where did that name come from, by the way?
So Static. So a funny story actually. So I actually have never really gotten into this story, but
Ooh,
so
scoop.
I was so around, like, this was before I was Static. My nickname used to be G Money.
Nice.
Which is pretty shitty nickname.
Fuck with it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But around that same time, like I was like a senior going into freshman year at OSU, and I was like working as a pizza delivery driver for this spot called Mama Lucia in Maryland, and
We've all worked in pizza.
yeah, but just to stay busy on those car rides and delivery rides, I would play music through this cassette aux cord that was, because I drive the same car now, surprisingly enough, my broke ass, but the cassette aux player, like it just made a lot of staticky noise, but the music would still cut through it, and it was a shitty aux cord, but it was like it was staticky, and it was like. I was like, all right, that might be a cool name. Then for a while, like my handle was Static 301, and that was just inspired a lot by Maryland, and I was trying to associate my name with an area code. But I slowly realized I was like, there's probably a lot of other people around the world like that go by the name Static in some sort of shit. So I feel like having some sort of search visibility would be important. That's when I kind of came up with the res part of the name, and that that's short for resonate and also regular everyday shit. So it just became sort of who I am, and I've just sort of rolled with it thus far, and I've embraced it. But yeah,
this is kind of a 180, but we were looking at your website yesterday, and I got to say it's impressive.
Thank
I
you.
really liked it.
Yeah. First of all, who threw that website together?
Yeah, so that was created by my good friend Gabriele Escura from Maryland, and he was actually, funny story about him, I was able to buy my first beat making pad, my machine, which I still have to this day and I still use, when I was a freshman at OSU. Because I actually roomed with his little brother. He was my roommate at OSU.
Okay.
And he was a kid I grew up with in Maryland, both of those guys. But yeah, he created that website for me, and I kind of gave him a few reference points beforehand. But it was a really big goal of mine before Warm Regards came out to get my website together, just to get that official next step together. But he's an extremely talented freelance designer, and he went crazy with it, and we have a lot of new updates coming to it soon. Once I have this new song I've almost been ready to put together. We're working on some cool visuals and graphics for that on the website, but I just want to make it more accessible and more have a little more information about myself in terms of my bio, and maybe even some merch soon. So
hell yeah. Yeah, I clicked on the merch tab and I was like, shit, there's nothing
coming soon.
I wanted to pick something up.
No merch yet, but a cool design saying coming soon that Gabe did.
That was pretty sick. I remember looking at that. I was like, I'm tripping out right now. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me cop that merch as soon as it comes out. That'll be awesome. If you've listened to Gab Street in the past, you know that the show is dedicated to showing off awesome Columbus culture. Now we're putting not only our voices forward, but a helping hand. Through the summer of 2020, Gab Street will be collaborating with Ravenshood Music Group to create the Columbus Creatives COVID Grant. This grant is a fundraising initiative aimed toward helping creatives in Columbus who have been impacted financially by the COVID crisis. We will be accepting applications through Saturday, August 15th, and we will be accepting funds through August 31st. Voting will take place during those 16 days. You can find links to the donation pages and how you can apply in the description of this episode. Now back to the show. You mentioned visuals earlier, and one person you've been working with to make visuals has been Winton Yang.
Yeah.
Fantastic shit. And I think I told him when he presented, I forget which one, I think it was Through the Window that he presented at Visioneers.
Yeah, at the Visioneers Spotlight. Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
He presented that, and I told him, were you there for that? When he,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Wild Goose, right?
Yeah. I said, I think that video is the best representation of the vibe of Static Res that I've ever seen. Watching that video, you just understand him immediately.
It is, though. I think I'd say I agree. Definitely, he did a good job of capturing the sort of my demeanor in that video.
How much direction did you take on it, or was it more of, did you kind of give him the song and then let him work with it, or?
So for that video, I kind of approached him with the idea of that video, and I wanted to illustrate a lot of duality, a lot of day and night shots.
I can see that. Yeah.
But Winston always has a lot of crazy ideas, which is why I love working with him. And when I brought him that idea, he already he came back with different ideas of how we could execute that and make it look fresh and whatnot. And a cool thing we did actually that people that don't know about that video is when we were shooting it, I actually had to rap the song in double speed. So there was a sped up version that we were using of the song like on set, and when I was rapping it, he was like, all right, just trust me, like just try as hard as you can to like rap on beat. And it was so hard because the lyrics are going so fast, but it turns out when I rapped it in double speed, he was able to slow it down to slow motion. And if you notice in the video, I'm still lip syncing the words in slow motion the way he edited it, but when he was shooting that, it was just because I was spitting it in double speed as fast as I can.
That's really cool.
But Winston has a lot of great ideas like that and creative ideas. So it's been really great to work with him over the years, and he's been my go-to for all my album covers since Brain Dead.
Okay.
All my visuals. So like, we've worked really well together as a team, and I'm actually really excited about a video we shot recently that's going to be coming out.
Okay.
Sweet. So
I'm excited for that too.
Yeah.
Actually, quick little inside look into our affairs here for the audience. I actually have Winston booked for later this year.
Nice.
To do an interview. So.
I bet that'll be a sick one. He has a lot of cool stuff to talk about. He also does parkour.
What?
Bro,
Yo.
Yeah,
I've never actually met anyone that does parkour before.
He's an established parkour guy. He really does his thing. But
that's really sick, actually.
Yeah, and it's cool too. Like when we're shooting, because he's able to finesse and get on, like scale some walls if like you absolutely need it to get the shot. He'll do whatever for the shot, and that man's not afraid of heights. I'll just say that. You'll see in the new video where we shot. Like that man is not afraid of heights, but
that freaked me out.
I'll have him vault over the mic.
I watch him do that, and I just freak.
I mean, you do what you gotta do for the art. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
You gotta climb some fucking buildings. It's whatever.
Oh yeah.
For the shot.
Exactly. Do it for the gram. Am I right?
Yeah. But
it's really cool.
It's been super special working with him over the years. He's really talented, and I attribute a lot of my success to him because obviously you've got to have something visually appealing as an artist for people to click on. That's really eye catching as first impression. So
cool. So working with him has been a success. Music videos and live performances are totally different animals. I was curious as to what are some of the stories from both the best and the worst shows of your career.
So let me think about that. So the best show of my career was probably Sold Out in DC that night I was referring to with Mikey. The best part about that night was I think I was still 21 at the time, but everyone after I got off stage kept buying me drinks because I was like I just graduated, and it was people's first time seeing me since I graduated, and they're like, hey, let me buy you a drink. And I remember my parents came to see. That was the first time my parents actually got to see me in concert was that night, so that was a really special night. And they went home, they drove home back to Maryland, and I decided to stay out in DC with my friends, and I remember just getting drunk that night after that show and having to metro back, just take the subway train back. But I remember just passing out on the metro on my way back, so happy because it was such a fun night, and I was yeah, that was a great show. That I really felt the love that night. But
that's cool.
Then the worst show, I'd have to think about that. It's hard. It would be hard for me to say I've had or which has been the worst show. Obviously some shows are have been a lot smaller than others, and that being the case, like I do always try to bring the same energy and execution to every show, you know, regardless of how many people it might or might not be.
Yeah.
'Cause I just feel like that, you know, practice makes perfect, and you know that just allows you to be ready for any opportunity where, you know, say you could be thrown out in front of like 1,000 people. Like I might be terrified at first, but you know, you can cut that part out. I'm smacked.
It's all good, homie.
It's alright.
Yeah. but I would say one venue that like I probably like don't know if I could do again is like Cafe Kerouac. I feel like I've performed there like 12 or 13 times.
Yep.
Like I love that place. I've had some good nights at Cafe Kerouac, and like so I'll point out this show. There's this one show, I think right before COVID happened actually, at Cafe Kerouac, and it was right after Warm Regards came out, and I actually got people to start a mosh pit at Cafe Kerouac, and it was so funny to me.
Mosh pit at Kerouac.
I was laughing on stage like while I was performing my song. I was like, dang, people are really will ride for me.
Doesn't that place like look like half a library too?
Yeah. Coffee shop.
It's just this quaint coffee shop.
Yeah.
That's so funny to me.
I guess all my times performing at that venue, at that place, it's taught me that like you should know like your time and setting, like in that sort of venue in the future. If I ever have that sort of show, it's gonna be my more chill songs that I'm performing. Like you don't want to have a mosh pit in the middle of Cafe Kerouac.
But what if you really do?
I was on.
I think it'd be fun.
I had a few spiked coffees that night, I think, because they sell alcohol there too, which is surprising.
That's weird.
Like,
yeah, I didn't know that.
That's strange to think that they sell alcohol.
I want people throwing books at each other, man. I think that's what we need. The energy we need to bring, dude.
People need to read a damn book these days.
I'm actually curious because I don't think we know, but what is your degree in?
Yeah, so I studied public policy and international relations at Ohio State, and I've had like a passion for policy ever since I was young. I guess just sort of growing up near DC, being close to politics. Obviously policy and politics, there's a fine line, but especially over the years, just seeing how certain policies and city budgets like may impact groups of people. It's become a really big interest of mine, and something that I've realized how important it is over time, because there's policies in place that determine a lot of things, and it's really how a lot of cities work. It's their their foundation and governance that really determines how things are done. And we have here with Columbus, the police department, with the city spending, that came out recently, that the city of Columbus is spending that much in comparison to a lot of other sectors. That's
like education.
Yeah, and that even comes back to a matter of policy and the people in power, and what they've done to be in power. And that's what makes me passionate about that sort of stuff, because obviously there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And every city has their own specific interests and things that need fixed. And one big one here is the police department seems to be really overfunded, and every city has something, but policy I feel like is it's the most meaningful means to change. I really feel like the most effective way to actually see something get done in society that's going to be positive and make a difference.
And that's why Static Rez came here today to announce his candidacy for mayor. Oh my God, no.
2020.
You should, though. We need somebody to run against Ginther, for real.
Yeah.
Nobody has been for years.
Man.
I don't know if I could ever run for public office. I've actually been asked that before.
Really?
If I would ever consider it.
Yeah.
And I actually don't know if I could handle all that stress, to be honest. I would more so want to be like a figure, or someone that, is in one of those figures' ears.
Yeah, you want to be one
advice.
of the writers, not one of the...
Yeah. Exactly.
So you're running for Ohio Congress, is that correct?
Yeah, maybe one day.
All right, cool. I'll be your campaign manager. Fuck it, let's do it.
Let's run it.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you already got a great-ass website.
This is true.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Static. I could just change my name to Static Rez then for legally.
Static res for press.
Static res for congressman.
Static Prez, dude.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Static prez. I was a 5th grade president in my elementary school.
Dude,
so I was,
I'm honored to be in your presence.
yeah. Pretty big
Man,
deal.
a 5th grader can be president?
Pretty big.
Bro,
Pretty good
they
resume
changed the
builder, if you know what I mean.
You just let anybody do anything now, don't they?
Yeah.
So I have to ask, has your study of policy come out in your music at all?
No,
Okay.
I haven't really.
I'm curious.
I haven't really demonstrated that at all in my music yet.
Okay.
I more so like want to use my experience in that to get involved with some organizations and do some stuff behind the scenes even. Like
Okay.
one of my biggest interests in policy specific to Columbus though, my capstone senior year was related to the opioid epidemic that
Okay.
you know, obviously it has continued to be a pretty big problem, and one even near and dear to me, you know, that I've witnessed a few people, you know, fall victim to, and like there's a lot of policies in place that are, you know, in trying to combat that around here, and just kind of finding out more about those organizations and their impacts throughout the community and what they're doing to try to, especially during COVID, is interesting. So like I want to, you know, see what I can do to get more involved with those organizations, especially around Columbus.
Okay. So that's more of a shift for your next music rather than before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's something that, you know, I just want to do out of decency as well, and like that's something I might not, you know, I wouldn't necessarily advertise, you know, as like static res. It would just be something, you know, I would want to just do to, you know, to help out.
What do you want people to feel when they're listening to your music?
I want people to really feel a sense of relaxation. A lot of people have said my music sounds kind of psychedelic, although I wouldn't say like I'm a psychedelic sort of like rapper. Like I do like my music to feel like, what's the word for it? I would say like I would want it to feel dreamy to someone, like like they're just
mission
like,
accomplished. I think, honestly,
yeah, just like very airy and like spacey, you know, vibes. Like nothing that's like too hard or like harsh on the ear. Like easy listening, I would say. And like with like, you know, the main focus on the production just as much as the lyrics, like kind of like going hand in hand.
Would you ever consider fronting for like a group of musicians behind you?
Wait, doing what?
Like kind of like what Fortune Orange did.
Like
a rapper in front of instrumentalists behind.
Yeah, that's something I've considered. With like some of my future work as well. Like some of my future work has taken on like some elements of those sounds that would sound good in that sort of setting. I've considered that sort of thing, but
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess it would depend. Like that would obviously require a lot more planning, and once shows come back, that is something I want to explore the possibility of doing, because I feel like it could be a lot more entertaining. And from just seeing lots of bands live over the years, like that, the energy that, you know, they can bring with that many people, you know, cohesively working, it's pretty amazing. So
hell yeah. Let's talk about Be Good real quick, because I know that has even the title has personal relevance to you.
Love that album. Yeah, so Be Good, that was created my senior year at OSU in the fall. I was taking actually like a lot of credit hours, like 18 credit hours. It was like one of the hardest semesters I had at OSU. But that whole album was just kind of an expression of a lot of things I was thankful for, a lot of experiences I'd encountered throughout my years at OSU, because I felt like it was coming to an end, but I just didn't know what was next, like at that point in time. Like I was fresh out of college, I didn't really have a job, you know, planned out yet, and there was a lot of pressure, you know. I didn't know what like the future held for myself as Static compared to, you know, my professional career as, you know, an employee at, you know, a company.
Yeah.
But like Be Good was really like inspired by just a lot of you know, just different things I went through over the years. And like, you know, Good Sad was like the title track on that album, and that I just tried to juxtapose, you know, two feelings, or you know, just like ways people could feel throughout different situations, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to think the best way to describe that album. It was really a product of just different collabs I had done throughout the previous 2 years as well. Like one of my favorite songs on that project too is Better Side. Jacob Kahoot produced that. He was the guitarist in Fortune Orange and actually one of my current roommates. But that song allowed me to open up an idea for producing more alternative sounding music, or rapping or singing over something that's not necessarily a hip hop beat. So that, I'd say out of all my projects, that one I probably experimented the most, which I almost needed, but it allowed me to figure out which songs that stuck the best from that will work the best in the future. So
I think that song covers some pretty more substantial topics than Brain Dead did, for sure. Songs like Mental Health.
Oh yeah, Mental Health is. I always forget about that song. That song was that's a really special one to me. I wrote that one a cappella actually. It was just
nice.
It was just some words I had on my mind. I was going through a pretty tough time. My mom had a heart attack, and I think I was at OSU at the time, but that was going on in Maryland, so I felt powerless being from so far away.
Yeah.
And I got into some bad habits after that, and I smoked cigarettes for a little while, and that shit was whack, obviously, but that song was just a big reflection of how your mental health really, just how important it really is, despite anything you might go through behind the scenes and shit that might affect you. You really gotta prioritize your mental health and just give yourself self-care time, especially, and do things that aren't harmful to your body as well, in turn for certain things. So
cool.
Yeah.
And one of my personal favorites off that project is Mood Swings as well.
Mood Swings.
Both of us actually really enjoyed
it.
Oh yeah. I vibed to that heavy.
I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys like that one. That's actually one that I wish got a little more buzz from that project, because that song, the way that song was written was so natural, and it was actually the last one I turned in before I submitted the album. It was I think that song was made about a week before I actually submitted the album, and it was one of my final sessions. But
nice.
Yeah, just my delivery on that song, that really helped me find an interesting pocket, and how my voice can work with guitar a little bit too. My engineer at the time, Drolin, played some guitar on that song, so it just got that song got me thinking more about the structure of the way I want to do hooks and how I can sing. I was really trying to sing my heart out on some songs on Be Good, but yeah.
I think it turned out pretty well.
Thank you.
I would say.
Appreciate that.
And does that song come from personal experience? Do you actually have mood swings in general, or is it?
That was I wouldn't say so. I've had I feel one thing I've learned over the past year is panic attacks are real. I've had panic attacks before, and that's just from stress or just getting overwhelmed with too much shit on my plate.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I've necessarily had mood swings. It was just more so just to illustrate how day in and day out might be different, or some days might feel there's a cloud over your head, or might feel
the potential for the mood swing.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Not hour to hour, but more you could wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
I feel that. That's
honestly,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got here? Let's see. We've already talked about how COVID impacts your musical process. Let's talk more about the Cold Collection. I remember meeting Diddy Park at
my boy.
What is it even called? I went to this event so often. Declassified. That's right.
Oh right, yeah.
Declassified actually. I was able to go for the first, 8 of them, and then Victories was yeah, you got to be 21 now. Sam Rothstein was trying to get it moved, but yeah, it was pretty whack. It's 5 minutes from here too, so it was easy access. But then they barred me out, so it sucked. But yeah, I remember meeting Diddy there. What was his role in Cold Collection again?
Yeah, Diddy Park was he's an artist as well. He has some stuff out there. He actually he moved to Montreal, Canada. He lives up there with his girlfriend, and I was actually gonna call him up recently and catch up with the guy. It's been a while, but yeah, he as far as I know, he's still working on some stuff up there, but we did some work together with Ryan For You, my boy, on Sweeter Things, this one project of
Great
ours.
song, yeah.
And yeah, Diddy Park was another one of those dudes I met at OSU Freestyle actually.
Nice.
Over the years. So that's how we kind of developed our bond too with Dot Bryant. So he was a homie. Yeah, he was always around too at my old house on campus. Like, you know, he would come over and like freestyle with me. We'd chop it up and stuff. But
Nice.
yeah, he's a homie.
What are your goals in and outside of the music for the future?
I'd say in the music, my biggest goal is like I'd say my next like this is kind of like a big goal, but I do want mainstream success like in some way, but like I don't want I'm just trying to think how I want
Sorry.
to say this. So
personally, I think you're one of the most underrated artists I've ever listened to.
Thank you, bro.
Because
Definitely. I'm
like-
so surprised that like you're how I found out about his music
yeah,
because it's so good.
I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I definitely would say I want some, you know, mainstream success. Like I would love nothing more than for a song to take off and like hit like the top 40 charts or something. I'm just now figuring out like I'm self-managed. Like I had a manager for a while, but I'm just now figuring out like some like pre-submission tactics and like how to, you know, get songs before they're coming out into the right ears and like to people that might be able to like do a write-up and, you know, like even that song I'm gonna send you, like I'll let you guys do a write-up on that. But
yeah, we're doing Gab Street reviews, by the way.
oh yeah.
I haven't actually announced that yet on the show, but which I mean I was going to today anyway. But yeah, send your released or unreleased music to gabstpodcast@gmail.com, and if we don't have too much already on our plate, we'll go ahead and write a review for you. It might take a couple weeks or so, but we will post it on Instagram and maybe get some visibility on your music. So yeah, reach out to us, please. We're going to do that for a lot of people. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to hear what you got sending over. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, and I'd say like furthermore in the music, I really wanna I want the ability to have a fan base that I can really interact with and like give back to as well. Like, you know, if I ever do have that sort of, you know, mainstream success, I want to be able to, you know, use my platform to bring, you know, light to important issues and, you know, just do good things for the community as well. That's like really the most, you know, important thing to me is just like the purpose and like seeing artists, you know, that have just done that throughout the years and like made impacts in their community and just you know, different individuals and celebrities. It just goes to show that like, you know, those ones I feel like are the ones that are doing it right, and I would love nothing more than to just be, you know, to be a musician but also be giving back on the side. So
how has Columbus as a city helped or hindered you in your process?
Columbus has helped me because I got my first shows and performances out here. Like I think my first show ever was at Scully's with my boy Raybun. But like Columbus really opened the door to get me on stage more quickly than I thought I could even get on stage. Like when I first started rapping, or I think when the first performance I had, I only had one song out at the time, and I was so nervous. I had no idea like what I was doing, but Columbus really opened the door, I feel like, for like more performances and like also like more like word on the street, and especially being on campus, like some of the shows I did over the years at Wild Goose as well, like you know, getting some like OSU students through those doors and whatnot, like that opened the door for like, you know, a lot of new listeners for me and, you know, people that were behind me early on, you know.
Yeah, Columbus is uniquely connected,
Yeah.
uniquely, you know, kind to each other, I think. I mean,
Definitely.
I haven't lived in any other cities, so, but this is what I've been told by people who have. But yeah, it's pretty easy to get on stage here because I don't know, something about the city makes it really hard not to be dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, people are really willing to support local artists here and like get behind them and, you know, come out, especially after I think COVID's over. I just really hope for the scene. You know, I hope there's just a big enough event or some sort of thing put together where all like just like a lot of different Columbus artists can pop out and like everyone is happy to see them, and you know, I think it's going to be that much more special once COVID's over and we can get back out there.
Well, everyone who's listening, keep your hats on for the Gab Street Anniversary number 2 coming next February. We're going to try and make that a fucking blowout, so that's going to be cool. Also, speaking of keeping things going after COVID, I'm going to plug CCCG here real quick. Anybody who has not had the chance to check out the grant program that we have going on, it's the Columbus Creatives COVID Grant. It is currently, as of this recording, received $2,035. So the public vote will have already begun by the time this came out, and the 4 top people with the most votes will be receiving $500 each. So get to voting on that. If I misremembered the date this is coming out and you can still apply, go ahead and get your application in there, and we'll be looking over it soon. And don't forget to share it with your friends and family so we can keep the momentum going after COVID ends, because the shows are going to be lit as fuck.
Oh, so, yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Cannot wait.
How can people find and support you?
Yeah, so I'm on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Google, Pandora, LimeWire, whatever.
LimeWire.
whatever platform you use, yeah. But yeah, Static Res is the name, Static RES. I'm on Instagram at static.res, Twitter, static_res, and my DMs are open. You know, feel free to chop it up with me if you have any questions or, you know, want to reach out ever. I'm always, you know, open to, I love hearing feedback about my music and, you know, meeting new supporters, so I appreciate y'all.
Hell yeah. You have any last minute shout outs to make?
I would definitely say shout out to my mom and dad if they're listening to this right now. Shout out to all my homies at 1638 at the campus house I just moved out of, and shout out all my homies, families, and friends. Shout out the Cold Collection, and shout out Gab Street.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you guys.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for listening this week. We will catch you next Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. sharp. I know you're listening then because you're dedicated. Just like every single week. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir.